everyone, welcome back to Know Your Game, the podcast in which you hear to know more about your favorite games. To start off this episode, I'm just going to take a moment and appreciate the listeners. They're really good and just tunes in to hear me rambling on, and I really appreciate that. Seriously guys, thanks. It would also really help if you just share the link to the podcast to other people so that they can listen too. Seriously guys, it means a lot to me. Anyways, enough of me rambling. Let us venture to our topic. In this episode, I plan to solve one of the biggest questions in the gaming world. Which is better, PC or consoles? In this episode, I'll be trying to give a good argument. And to be clear, what I mean by consoles are Nintendo Switches, PS4 and 5s, Xboxes, and more. To find out the answer, tune in to the end. Hey, what are we waiting for? Let's get started. The first thing I should talk about is PCs because, well, why not? The best thing about playing games in PC is that it offers more. If you see professional gamers, they play in PCs, not in consoles. Because in PC, the specs are higher, meaning the graphics are better. Way better, actually. There are more features, and playing in PC lets you be more immersed in the game. If you want to be more professional, I would recommend you to play in PCs, but of course, if you just want to stick to playing in console, that's okay. Just saying. Another good reason as to why you should play in PC is that you can use mods. Mods are what I said in my Minecraft episode. It's something you use to modify your game. You can use mods for adding better things in your game, making you a lot more professional or sometimes angrier too. Another good thing about playing in PC is that because of the sheer amount of people playing in PCs, you will be easier to find a friend that plays in PC than one that plays on a console. So you will be pretty hard pressed to not be able to find a buddy to play with. Even if you have no friends, you can also play with strangers. Most games are created for PC players first. Then they make a version for the console players. A game that is like this is Minecraft. They created the Java version first, then after a few years, they made the Bedrock version. Because of this, you would not need to wait for the game company to make a version for you to play in. One major difference between consoles and PCs are that PCs don't need to pay an additional fee to play online. In Nintendo Switch, you have to buy the Nintendo Online to be able to play online with friends. In PS4, you need to pay for a membership first. So, PCs are very, very good. Now, for the cons. PCs are immensely expensive. The cheapest one can be around $159 with a storage space of 256 gigabytes and a RAM of 16, which is good. But compared to a Nintendo Switch with a controller which costs $299, it's not that good. Look, I know what you're thinking. Wait, isn't $159 cheaper than a $299 Switch with a controller? Well, it is, but you forget something. The $159 PC isn't included with the monitors, the mouse, and the keyboard. That's just the PC. Another con is that if you're not good with computers, you might be in trouble. Because fixing a PC isn't just turning it on and off. You are also more likely to get a virus or something else in a PC rather than a console. And it would be really hard and maybe even impossible to remove it. One con is addiction, but it happens everywhere else too. So, a con? Since we covered PCs, let's now go talk about consoles. Like I said before, what I meant by consoles are Nintendo Switches, PS4 and 5s, Xboxes, and more. So I will only be talking about that. Let's start with the pros first. One pro of consoles is that they are easy to use. You don't need to build your own console to play it, like PCs. Another reason to play in console rather than in PC is because of its price. It's so much cheaper than a PC and its setup. Like I said before, a Nintendo Switch with a controller costs only $299, while a PC and its setup costs more than around $560. Yes, that much difference. And that's still excluding electricity and Wi-Fi. And remember, you can even play console on a TV too. And let's be honest here, if you have a console, you would also most likely have a TV too. So, yes, consoles are much cheaper than PCs. One pro is its duality, meaning that it can be played in a portable mode or in a TV, like I mentioned before. Though the portable mode I mentioned is only possible in Nintendo Switches. So, consoles are very, very simple. You don't need to upgrade your console. PCs, however, need to be upgraded. However, this point is a pro and a con at the same time. Because if you can't upgrade a console, you're going to have to buy a newer, improved console if you want to upgrade it. Consoles, like PCs, also have their own exclusive games. Personally, I think there are more games in all consoles than in PC, considering that all consoles are actually from all different game companies. One from the PS4 company, one from the Nintendo company, one from the Xbox company, so there's quite a lot of games. One reason as to why consoles are better is because of the controllers. They're a lot simpler to use than the keyboard. For me though, of course. I don't know what other people think. Another reason is also because of the controllers. Console controllers can be wireless. Imagine, you don't even have to be close to your console to play the game. You can be sitting on a couch. Obviously, PCs can't do this because they use mice and keyboards, which is usually close to the monitor. Cons of consoles. That rhymes. One con is that, like I said before, you have to pay a fee if you want to be able to play online. At least it isn't much though. Another con is that you can't customize your console as much as you can to a PC, meaning that you can't make your own controllers glow or do some other stuff. You can color the controllers and consoles, but you can't modify other things. Like what I said before too, you can't upgrade it, so once it gets outdated, you'll have to buy a new one. Because of this, I guess you can also say that playing in console is pretty expensive, considering that people who play in PC can just buy one PC and can just upgrade it to the newest one. So yeah, you can say that console is pretty expensive in the long run. So, after hearing all this, I can finally say that the best is nothing. Or at least, not in this episode. I bet you didn't realize that this is a two-parter. Because of its nature, I can't finish this with just one episode. So, I'm gonna continue this argument next week, in the next episode. So, if you guys want to hear the answer, stay tuned and wait till next week. But seriously speaking, did you guys realize that this is a two-parter? Anyways, that's all for this episode. I'm sorry for the big plot twist, by the way. Remember guys, next week, we'll find out what the best gaming platform is. So, stay tuned. That's all for this episode, guys. So, goodbye and have a good day, alright? See you next week. Goodbye.